Hey everyone, and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. So I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place today. It's currently Monday, so I am starting this vlog on a Monday, but I've just got home from work, which feels really weird to say because I've been working from home since last March when we first went into lockdown, and I am still going to be working from home, but I had a meeting today that I needed to be in the office for, and you probably don't care, but yeah, I just feel a little bit weird and a little bit all over the place. Like where I work doesn't have very good phone signal, and I couldn't get my phone to connect to the Wi-Fi, so I feel like I've been off the grid a little bit all day. But I thought I would kick off this vlog by going through what I'm currently reading. So I mentioned in my last video that I was currently reading Royal Assassin, or I am currently reading Royal Assassin. However, I've decided to put this down for now, but not really. I've decided that I'm going to switch to the audiobook for this because when I read the first book in this series, I really enjoyed the audiobook. I alternated between reading the physical copy and listening to the audiobook, and I preferred the audiobook, so I've decided to start the audiobook. It's available on Scribd, and it's probably going to take me a while to read because, as you can probably see, I'm not even halfway through this yet, so I'm probably going to be listening to that over the next few weeks. But also, last night I made a start on Survive the Night by Riley Sager, which is a thriller, and I'm really excited about this because it's one of my most anticipated book releases of 2021. I've read two of Riley Sager's other books, Lock Every Door and Home Before Dark, and gave them both 5 stars, so I have really high hopes that I'm gonna love this too. I'm only about 15 to 20% of the way through at the moment. I only read for about an hour last night, and so far I'm enjoying it. The story basically follows a college student called Charlie, who you learn at the start of the book that her roommate has been killed. She was murdered by this serial killer that's been terrorizing the college campus, and so Charlie decides to possibly drop out of uni. She hasn't quite decided, but she needs a ride home, and she's at the university bulletin board putting up a poster when this guy gets chatting to her, and it turns out that he's driving in the same direction that she's going in, and so she decides to ride share with him. Like I said, I'm not that far into it, but they've set off on this long journey, this long drive home, and Charlie has started to suspect that this guy Josh is a little bit suspicious, and there might be something going on there. We're not quite sure, but already I'm getting the sense that Charlie isn't the most reliable narrator. There's a lot, I feel, that we don't quite know about yet, especially with what happened to her friend. I actually didn't know until recently that this book is set during the 1990s, so I think it's set during 1991, so the characters don't have access to mobile phones, and there's like different technology to obviously what we have now. One of the main themes throughout the book is the movies, so there's been quite a lot of pop culture references and a lot of movie references because Charlie is a film student. I'm kind of enjoying that, but also I'm not the biggest film person. Like, I watch movies and stuff, but I don't know, some of the conversations I'm finding that I'm not really caring and that it is dragging just a little bit. I'm really hoping that this is going to be quite a quick read, and I'm also hoping that it's going to get a little bit more faster paced as the book goes on, because so far it has mostly been build up, which I don't mind because I'm liking the tension and I'm liking how I'm getting that sense, you know, that sinking feeling where you just know that something is going to happen, and I'm really excited to find out what is going to happen because I've heard that this book has some really good twists, so I'm excited to see what they are. Hey everyone, so it's now Wednesday, and I thought I would do a really quick update on how I'm getting on with Survive the Night. So I'm now around 40 to 50% of the way through. I think I got to around the 45% mark when I was reading last night, and so far I am enjoying it. I really like the way that the tension is building up, especially because most of the plot so far has taken place within this very isolated setting, and so that's probably the thing that I'm enjoying the most so far. When I'm reading it, I can feel my heart starting to go up, and I feel scared. Like, I am genuinely nervous about what's going to happen in this book. There's one thing that I'm not 100% sure on at the moment, and that's to do with Charlie, the main character. So I think I mentioned that Charlie is a very unreliable narrator, and the reason for that is because she sees these hallucinations in her mind that are sort of like movies basically, and I'm not really 100% sold on it, and I don't know if I'm gonna like the way that that plays into the plot, but I'm willing to give it a go. Like I said, I'm not even halfway through yet, and so maybe as the book progresses and we see more of that, then I don't know, maybe I will start to enjoy it. I'm really torn on this book at the moment because when I'm reading it, I am really enjoying it. It's a really fun read. Maybe fun's the wrong word. It's entertaining, I think, is what I'm trying to say, but I'm not quite getting the same feeling that I got when I read Lock Every Door and Home Before Dark, so it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this book goes. I'm also finding that it's not a very action-driven thriller, which I think is what I was expecting. I was expecting this to be more like No Exit by Taylor Adams, whereas what I'm finding is that it's a lot more psychological. What I am liking though is that this book does feel like a movie. You know how sometimes you'll read a book and it will be playing like a movie in your head? That is what this book is doing for me. So last night I almost finished Survive the Night. I've got less than 10% left to go, which is always hard to tell page numbers on a Kindle, but I think I've got less than 50 pages until the end. I almost finished this last night, but I wanted to be able to appreciate the ending, and I felt like I was falling asleep when I was reading last night. Not because the book is boring or anything, but because it was like midnight and I needed sleep. So I'm going to finish it tonight. Like, the action has definitely picked up in this second half, and there's been a few twists that I didn't see come in. However, I'm really struggling to make a prediction on what I'm going to rate this book overall. I really don't know where my head is at the moment, because it could be a 2 or it could be a 4. Like, that is how divided I feel at the moment. One of the main criticisms that I've seen with Riley Sager's books in general is the way that he writes female characters, and he does have a tendency to write very weak female characters, and they are generally very frustrating, and I found that with the other 2 books of his that I've read, but it didn't affect my enjoyment as much as it has with this book. Because of the way that this book is written, you do spend a lot of time in Charlie's head, and the way that she's thinking and her actions, I don't really understand. I am still enjoying it generally overall, but I think that, like I might have said, my final rating for this book is really going to hinge on the ending. I'm hoping that there's going to be another twist, and I'm hoping that it's going to be so shocking and it's going to make all of this make sense, because at the moment, like, I get it, but also I'm struggling. Hello. So I finished reading Survive the Night, and I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars, I think. I ran it through Corepile and it came out as a 7 out of 10, which is a 4-star rating, but just about. It scored really high on plot and intrigue and my overall enjoyment. But when it came to the characters and the logic, that's what kind of brought it down just a little bit. It's really hard because I really enjoyed my time reading it. It got really fast paced towards the end and it was a very quick read. This felt like a 90s slasher movie, which is what the book is based on, and I could visualize exactly how it would play out on screen, and that aspect I really liked. But I can also understand why relatively this does have quite low ratings on Goodreads. I think I might have mentioned this earlier, but this was a 5-star prediction because of how much I loved the other books that I've read by this author. And so in that sense, it was a little disappointing, but I would still read other books by this author. Like, it hasn't put me off or anything. It just, yeah, this one didn't quite hit me in the same way. I don't actually know what I want to read next because I'm still listening to Royal Assassin whenever I'm going out for walks and stuff. Haven't been for many walks this week because it's not the best weather at the moment and I don't want to go out in that. But I don't know what I want to pick up physically, because I don't think I want another fantasy. I don't think I want another fantasy because I'm obviously listening to a fantasy audiobook. So maybe I'll pick up another thriller or a contemporary. I don't know. I will let you know once I've decided. Good morning. So last night I was having a think about what I wanted to read next when I realised that I do actually have another book on my TBR for August that's also a thriller, and that is also a 5-star prediction. And so I thought, why don't I do a themed reading vlog where I read 2 5-star thriller predictions? I mean, it's too late obviously to put this in the intro, but if you've seen it in the title and you're wondering what is she going on about, then this is where I had this brainwave. So yeah, last night I made a start on The Last House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward, I think is the author's name. And I didn't know a lot about this book going into it. All I really knew was that it was a literary thriller and there's a few different perspectives that you're following. And one of those perspectives is the point of view of a cat. And I thought that sounded really fun. Yeah, like basically so far, I've only read the first 3 or 4 chapters and we're following a few different perspectives. And one of those perspectives is a guy called Ted who lives alone with his cat Olivia. And there's something going on that I don't quite understand yet, but also about 10 years ago, a little girl went missing, and we're also getting the point of view of her sister. So it's all very mysterious, which is my kind of thriller. I do tend to love mystery thrillers or thrillers that have some kind of mystery. And so even though at the moment I don't really know what the plot is for this book, I'm definitely intrigued, and I'm hoping that I can read a good chunk of this today, because I don't know how much realistically I'm gonna read tomorrow. I don't know actually, have I mentioned this yet? I'm going on a hen do tomorrow, and actually I've got the next 10 days off work, so hopefully going to be getting a lot of reading done in general over the next week or so. But yeah, at the moment I am still planning to put this vlog live on Monday, and actually if you're watching this vlog on Monday, then it's actually officially my 1-year booktube anniversary, so that's kind of cool. I might actually get some cake for Monday, but I thought that even if I don't finish this book by Sunday, I could always try and finish it Monday morning because I don't have work. Should have mentioned actually that The Last House on Needless Street does have quite a few content warnings, and the one that stood out to me so far is animal cruelty. So the first chapter, there was some stuff that happened with birds that was just not very nice to read about. So yeah, I just wanted to mention it in case you are thinking of reading this. So I am now about 1/3 of the way through The Last House on Needless Street, and this is a really hard book to describe because you're basically following this guy Ted and his cat, and you're seeing the relationship that he has with his daughter, but then you're also following this woman called Dee, and she's trying to work out what happened to her sister that went missing like 10 years ago. I have a few theories on what might be going on, but I'm not going to share them obviously because of spoilers, and also because I don't think I'm right. I think that the one main theory that I have is too obvious, and the others I don't think would make sense based on what's been happening. I know that probably sounds really, really vague, but I do think that this would be a really good book to buddy read or to read as part of a book club, because I think that it is really fun trying to work out what is going on, and I think that there's a lot that you could theorise about this book. The only way I can think to describe the general vibe of this book is that it's making me feel very similar to how I felt when I read Bunny by Mona Awad, and the 2 books are completely different because Bunny is a horror, whereas this is more like a suspenseful mystery. But when I read Bunny, what I remember most is how I felt very confused the whole way through and how I didn't know what was going on, but I was enjoying the journey to get there, and that's how I'm feeling about this book. Hey everyone, and happy Monday. So this vlog is meant to go live in about 5 or 6 hours and I haven't finished it yet. I have edited it up until this point, so I thought I would just pop on and wrap things up because I didn't really vlog much over the weekend. I was out all day on Saturday and then yesterday I was a little bit hungover and so I didn't really want to be on camera, but I did end up getting quite a lot of reading done. So I ended up finishing The Last House on Needless Street and I gave this 4 stars overall, but I think that I need to talk through the journey that I went on with this book because for a while I wasn't sure what I was going to rate this. So in the beginning I really liked the writing style and I liked all these different perspectives and how they felt very distinctive. I really liked reading from the perspective of Olivia the cat. I know that some people probably wouldn't enjoy that, but I liked how she was very sassy and she felt like a cat. As I got towards the middle of the book, I started to feel a little bit bored because I felt like I had so many questions, but we weren't getting many answers. And I felt like the author was almost trying to do too much with making this book confusing. Maybe that's the wrong way of saying it, but I felt like the author was trying to create this mystery and it did all come together in the end, and I did think that it was very cleverly written, but I wouldn't have wanted this book to be any longer because there were a few moments where it did start to drag for me. This isn't the type of thriller that has a lot of very sharp twists and turns. It's much more of a gradually revealing mystery. I would actually be really hesitant to call it a thriller because I didn't feel very thrilled as I was reading it. I did feel a lot of atmosphere and I did feel a little bit of suspense, and the direction that it goes in is very dark, but it didn't give me that typical heart-pounding thriller feeling that I sometimes or usually get with thrillers. This is one of those books where I think that the less you know about it going in, the more likely you are to enjoy it, but there are quite a few trigger warnings. I might have mentioned this already, but there are trigger warnings around abuse, and so just something to bear in mind if you are thinking of reading this. Overall though, I did really like the end of this book, and I especially liked the author's note. I think that that helped me get a better understanding of what the author was trying to do with this book and the message that they were trying to get across. Yeah, like I said, I gave this 4 stars overall, but I think that it's one of those books where I need a bit of time to properly process my thoughts and I might end up increasing my rating. I'm not sure. I think that this might end up being on my best books of the year, or at least my best thrillers of the year, because it did have an impact on me and I did find it very unique, and I think it is a book that I am going to remember. But yeah, I think I am going to end the reading vlog here because I did read another book last night, but I think it would make more sense for me to talk about it in my next weekly reading vlog. So the book that I read was The Pale Dreamer by Samantha Shannon, which is a prequel novella to The Bone Season, which I am planning to read in next week's reading vlog, or I'm going to start it today, so I'll be reading it this week. I am also halfway through Royal Assassin. Obviously I'm listening to that on audiobook, still enjoying it, but I don't feel like my feelings have really changed much since I last spoke about it, and so I'll just be reading that again throughout this week. But yeah, I think I am going to end the reading vlog here, so thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, let me know in the comments if you've read any of the books that I've talked about in this video, and let me know what you thought of them, because I would say that this vlog was a success. I know that with both of these thrillers they were 5-star predictions, but I did end up really enjoying both of them. So even though they weren't quite 5 stars, I'm glad that I read them and I would recommend them. So yeah, thanks again. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and click subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.